New poster. Fix that later. Hey everybody, Tekking101 here. Now, I know last week when I finished up the S-Class series, finally, I talked about how I was going to go and move on to some A-Class heroes and some maybe even C-Class heroes, you know, like that would be interesting to discuss next in the One Punch Man series. And I had every intention of doing a My Masks video this week, up until yesterday when I decided that, would I rather discuss a prissy, narcissist, soap opera pop star, or a freaking Dominator god alien that's also a Cyclops that can shoot death lasers from his chest? Boros is freaking awesome, okay? Screw it, we're talking about Boros. I'll get to a My Mask, I don't know, next week, next month, Thanksgiving, you know, whatever. We'll move on to him. You know, you gotta love any kind of just, alien overlord villain that just lands on Earth, bombs an entire city, and is like, alright, humanity, we here, what do you got? What do you got? And you know, Boros, not a very complicated character, not really. You know, he's a little bit more articulate than you would figure from an alien overlord. I think a lot of times, not all the times, because alien fiction, you know, sci-fi and all that stuff, it's been around for, you know, the better part of like 60, 70 years when like the B-moving craze in the 1950s and all that. But he's not the kind of alien that just lands on the planet with the hope of just destroying the entire thing, you know, or enslaving humanity. No, that's not really Boros' deal. The reason Boros decided to attack the Earth is still kind of cliche. So Boros is known as the Dominator of the Universe, which is a title that I think is just a wee bit arrogant, just a little bit. Like, when you claim to be the Dominator of the Universe, you better have at least fought against, I would say, 51% of the universe to come out with that title. You know, and considering the massive size of the universe, hey, I don't know how big the universe is in the One Punch Man universe. It might be considerably smaller than our own. I don't know. But anyway, he lived in a galaxy far, far away from Earth. And every planet that they conquered, every champion that tried to fight against him, he just, you know, took out, no problem. His race of alien, we don't exactly know the name of his species, but they're extremely resilient to not just, like, battle and, like, you know, damage and, like, recovery speed, but they've also adapted to some of the harshest environments in the entire galaxy. I think we saw an image of his environment at one point, and it was like a very savage kind of planet filled with, like, you know, lava and volcanoes everywhere, and just like it looked like a place you would not want to live. And his species evolved there, and out of his entire species, Boros was stated to be the best when it came to regeneration and everything like that. And it all revolves around him being able to store tremendous amounts of energy in his body. Like, if you were to hook up Boros to, like, a generator or something, like, you could probably power the entire planet for a little while, okay? Like everything. Like, that's the whole point of his abilities, is he has this, like, basically a nuclear fission times 10 running inside of him, and he can use this energy to propel himself at breakneck speeds and to shoot death lasers, and an even bigger death laser, and all this crazy stuff. So that's really what the whole basis, and he could regenerate wicked fast as well. So that's really what makes Boros so intimidating and strong, and no matter what enemy he fought against, it was just no challenge to him whatsoever. Kind of the same deal we have with Saitama, where he's just so strong, he has no opponent that could match him or even get close to his level, and he's just bored. Now, the difference between the two is that Saitama is basically working on minimum wage in like a 2-room apartment, whereas Boros was the Dominator of the universe and had like an entire star fleet at his control, okay? I mean, like, if Saitama had the resources and the inclination, he would probably go out to space too and maybe try to find an opponent that could best him. Actually, no, maybe he wouldn't, because that would mean he would miss the Saturday night, you know, blowout at the grocery store, so that just nixed that idea. But the point is that Boros had the resources, okay? So, he controlled this entire area, this galaxy, I guess, and he had a crew called the Dark Matter Thieves, and there was a prophecy that an alien seer gave him at one point that said, you know, on a faraway planet called Earth, you will face the challenge you have sought. You will have a hard-fought battle there that will rekindle your passion for fighting. Now, Earth was a very long distance away from wherever home galaxy Boros was from, and it would take about 20 years, even with their technology. I'm assuming they probably mastered light speed or something like that. Like, it would take, like, at least 20 years to get to Earth, and a lot of his constituents were like, okay, Lord Boros, this might just be a trick to get you you out of there. And Boros was so bored, and so... Was that the joke? Boros is bored? That has to just be my little alliteration. That can't be why he was named. Okay. But anyway... Yeah, he was so bored, he didn't even care at that point. He didn't really give a crap about his empire, probably didn't even give a crap about his crew, really. He was just like, screw it, drop everything. I'm tired of just waking up every day and just being bored out of my skull. I don't care if it takes 20 years or 40 years or 100 years, whatever. We're going to this planet. If this is my best shot at having a freaking worthy opponent, an actual battle that I can actually, like, exert myself, you know... Fine, we'll go. So he packs up his dark matter thieves in this giant mothership, Mezzalgard and Gorybas and Guragan the tentacle octopus hentai guy, you know, that's the psychic dude. They pack up and all these other like lower level aliens that are just like to run the ship, and they set off into the vast void of space in order to arrive at Earth. So 20 years later, they arrive. They bomb the shit out of City A. The entire city's basically leveled except for the Hero Association. Unfortunately for them, they picked like 20 years of light speed travel and the worst possible time they could have arrived at Earth, because all of the Earth's strongest heroes, the S-Class, just happened to be holding a meeting in the exact same city you decided to descend upon and destroy. And they were in the one building that wouldn't have been destroyed from that bombardment. So, the Alien Invader arc, you know, not even including Boros, was a pretty cool arc. I mean, you really got to see the S-Class shine there. Atomic Samurai, Bang, Metal Bat, Puri Puri Prisoner, Tatsumaki. You know, you got to show, you know, what they could do. You know, even characters like Child Emperor having like a supporting role. You know, trying to figure out how to take them on. This is back when we thought King was legit. You know, so that's pretty cool. Even Tank Top Master got a little moment there where he chucked some rocks at the mothership, okay? So, for the most part, Boros is pretty suave, he's pretty chill, even while his ship is being destroyed from the inside by Saitama. Saitama gets inside and just starts wrecking the thing. Boros is just chilling out in the power room, and he's just, like, on his throne, not even giving a shit. And he's like, okay, I think I should probably get going. So he moves over into the control room, and he sees a picture of Saitama there up on the big screen, and he's like... That's the guy I'm waiting for. So he just walks right back, he just saunters right back to the throne room, and he's just like, he doesn't even care. I mean, for a moment, I think Girl Gone Shapoop says, like, Gorybas died, and that was, like, one of our highest rated, like, generals or something. And I think there was, like, a moment of, like, surprise from Boros' eye, and he was like, okay then. Well, I'm gonna go back to my throne room, just chill out there, you know, and just gonna wait. And meanwhile, like, not only his, the ship is being destroyed, but his ground forces are being obliterated, but whatever, he doesn't even care. If it means every single one of his followers was destroyed, if it means his ship was destroyed and he was stuck on Earth for the rest of eternity, he didn't care. He just wanted to have a fight. That's all he freaking cared about at that point. So, his throne room is also, like, the power core of the ship. There's, like, this power sphere thing, and as long as that thing is not destroyed, then the ship will be fine. So, that's, you know, he's hanging out in this throne room in this power sphere thing. Saitama busts in, and Boros can tell immediately. It was actually very refreshing to know that Boros could identify Saitama as a threat immediately, where he looked at him and he's just like, this is this planet's finest warrior. I can sense no limit to his strength. So that was cool. So you kind of figure immediately he's not going to be the kind of, like, comedic villain. He's not going to be like, you know, I'm big and tough, you small and puny. And then he gets the shit kicked out of him. You could tell right away he respects Saitama as an opponent, that this was going to be an actual fight, and that he wasn't going to hold back, at least, you know, like, he wasn't just going to be pretending like, oh, you know, I'm not even going to abuse 1% of my power. No, you know, you could tell right away this was going to go down. He's very respectful, so he's like, all right, before we fight, let's exchange names. Let's do this all proper, like. So he explains his title, you know, I am Lord Boros, dominator of the universe, leader of the dark matter thieves. I will be the one to conquer all. And then Saitama's just like, I'm a hero I'm a professional hero, Saitama. And he's just like, Saitama. Okay, that's the name of my worthy opponent. So, he goes on and on about the prophecy and why he's there and everything, and he walks right up to Saitama, and he's basically just, like, grinning, like, salivating, you know, if he has a dick, it's definitely erect at this point, and he's just like, you are the reason I am here. Come and show me. And then Saitama just decks him into a wall. The Boros' little aesthetic that one gave him, and it's even more clear in the anime and in the Murata version. Murata? I always mispronounce his name. I think it's I want to say Murata, because that just sounds right to me. That sounds like a cool name, Murata. But I think it's Murata. I think that's more correct. Okay. Well, anyway, one of the aesthetics here is they took a lot of references from, like, Dragon Ball Z and a lot of common, like, shonen tropes. Like, he has the armor on him, and the armor is the thing that holds in his power. It's not meant for defense. It's meant to hold his immense power in. And so Saitama destroys it, and he hulks out, you know, all blue and, you know, muscles everywhere and spikes coming out of his spinal cord and shit. And he's like, this armor, which is used to hold in my immeasurable power, has been broken. And Saitama's like, okay, that's cool story, bro. And each one of the different phases that Boros goes into is indicative of, like, the Super Saiyan transformation. So he has, like, his base form, which is, like, base Super Saiyan, and then his next form after he removes his armor and he goes all blue Hulk, you know, hair gets a little spikier like in Super Saiyan 2, and then his final form, Meteoric Burst, makes his hair get even longer like in Super Saiyan 3. So the little references like that just make this whole fight metal as shit. This is one of those scenes, one of those fights, I guess I should say, that I could watch this like, I never get tired of it. There's not very many scenes, and not just anime, but any show or movie, that you could just watch consistently. Like, it's like when you get, like, a really good song. You know, you listen to a song and you like it, but after you listen to it for about a week, you just kind of get sick of it. Or not even sick of it, it doesn't do the same thing it did for you the first time. But every now and then, there's a few songs you run across, like very few. You maybe only can count them on one hand, but you could listen to that song and you never get tired of it. And the fight scene between Boros and Saitama, the choreography, the soundtrack, the animation, the voice acting in both the English and the Japanese, it all clicks. It all works. Okay, it just gets the blood pumping. No shit. When I was still in college and I had an early class in the morning, I would actually, because I'm tired, I'm like, ugh, freaking tired. In order to get pumped up to go to class, I would watch that fight scene in the morning before I left, like while I was getting ready to go to college or getting ready to go to work. And I still do every now and then. If I'm really freaking tired, I'm like, and I need something to juice me up. I need something to get that blood pumping, that testosterone move. Like, yeah, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna go and take on that freaking political science test today. Yeah! You know, that's what I needed, right? And I would watch that fight scene. Sometimes in Japanese, sometimes in English. I have both of them saved on my computer because it's just a beautiful fucking fight. The scene where Boros, like, floors him through, like, 3 pillars, and the freaking thing, the ship is exploding, and the freaking theme song's going in the background. He gets knocked through the ship. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. I can't do it justice here, okay? I just can't. Alright, if you haven't seen it, go and see it. And if you have seen it, watch it again. And then after you're done watching it again, watch it again. Alright, it's that good, right? Now, there's a few scenes in this fight that people like to look at and kind of critically analyze. I think the biggest one that people always love to just break out, like, okay, we need to analyze this, it is the moon scene, alright? The moon scene is always one that's like, okay. So, yeah, Boros goes and into his meteoric burst form, his Super Saiyan 3 form, where he gets really veiny, and he proceeds to kick Saitama straight to the moon. And Saitama just kind of, like, gets up, and he just, like, damn, that son of a bitch kicked me to the damn moon! And he just holds his breath, and he just propels himself back down to Earth, and he lands in the exact same spot he got kicked from. And that's always a scene. You know, if more than anything there, I want to say that Boros has really good aim. You know, because, you know, the moon's a pretty big object, but, you know, from the rest of the sky, and you're kicking, I mean, Yeah. Now, this is like a lot of people to think, like, if Boros's aim was off, like if he accidentally kicked him and he missed Saitama missed the moon and he just kept spinning off into the void, people assume that Saitama would have lost that fight. Let me ask you a serious question. Let's say Saitama did miss the moon and he just got sent flying off into the vastness of space and he just never stopped. He just kept, because momentum, it's just going and going and going. You know, like, he makes it all the way to Mars, or all the way past Mars, and lands on a freaking, like, in an asteroid field or something, hits an asteroid instead, you know, crashes into freaking, Juno or something, look it up. Do you really think, like, that would have stopped Saitama? He would have crashed into, like, freaking Juno or some shit, or Europa, one of the moons of Jupiter, and he would have been like, that son of a bitch knocked me, like, 10 AUs away from Earth or something, however the astronomical unit is between the Earth and Jupiter or whatever. He'd be like, that son of a bitch. Then he would just jump and he would probably land right back at Earth anyway. That's the absurdity of it. Like, no matter what he would have hit, he probably would have made his way back, and that would have just been just as beautiful. But, yeah, I don't, it's hard for me to be critical of this fight, because it's just so much fun. Alright, so, Boros, let's talk about his threat level before we get really into the ending stage of that fight, which displays Boros' like strongest attack, okay? So, I think one came out and stated that Boros' threat level is Dragon Plus, or he's like above Dragon. I think that's the better way that he explained that, okay? So, the way that the threat levels are laid out, it goes Dragon and then God. But one didn't specify God, he said above Dragon. Now, you could take that to mean two things. You could say, he's like, well, I don't want to actually come out and say that he's God level threat because I'm saving another character for that. Maybe actually God, or I don't want it to be underwhelming, because if I state that Boros was a God level threat, like straight out, and Saitama was able to kill him, then that kind of like lessens the God level threat. Now, make no mistake here, if there even is a God level threat that arrives on Earth, and I do feel that Boros is in fact a God level threat, when we analyze his, like, strongest move, you know, the collapsing star roaring cannon, you know, we'll take a look at that, and if, you know, what he said from how he described that technique is accurate, he's God-level threat, like, there's no question. But anyway, yeah, even if a God-level threat did attack the Earth, that doesn't mean that Saitama is going to be defeated by it. That doesn't mean it's even going to be a match for Saitama, because Saitama goes above and beyond it. Remember, to be classified as a God-level threat, all you really need to be able to do is to wipe out all of humanity. You have to be a threat that endangers either the entire population of the planet Earth, or, I guess, the destruction of the Earth itself, but considering the threat levels were created by human beings, and I'm assuming the whole point of the Hero Association is to defend human society, the reason when they specify a God-level threat, that's something that could wipe out all of humanity. Alright? Saitama, if he really wanted to, if he was, like, evil, he could wipe out all of humanity. Saitama is already considered a God-level threat. Except he's, like, more than that, because you know he could probably do way more than just destroy humanity, you know? So, I would like to consider Boros a God-level threat. I think that's what one intended. He just didn't want to come out straight up and say it, because in a series like this, you don't want to be throwing God-level threats at you every 5 seconds, you know? But as for his finishing move, the collapsing star roaring cannon, taking all the remaining energy left inside of him, condensing it into one focal point, and then just launching it to the point where I don't even know if it's implicit from him just using that technique that he's, like, emptying his tank out, like, entirely. Like, all the energy he's accumulated, it just gets emptied out in one shot, and he's just drained after it, or he might even die afterwards. I don't know. But when he was charging up that move, he states, I'll release all my energy to blow away you and the planet's surface. You know, this is the Viz translation, but there you go. Now, there's other translations, I think, that talk about him actually destroying the physical planet, but you don't even need to go that far. Enough to wipe out the planet's surface, or enough to destroy all of the cities and the humans on the surface of the planet Earth. That's all you really need to be classified as a god-level threat. I mean, destroying the planet would also earn you that title, but that's just kind of going overkill at that point. If Boros, okay, is Boros strong enough to wipe out all of humanity? I would say yes. On his own, I would say yes, he is capable of that. Okay, then he's a god-level threat. That's all it means. Alright? Now, of course, his death laser didn't actually get a chance to hit the Earth because Saitama countered with his serious punch, and so the beam didn't actually connect with the planet's surface, and instead, I think knocked a lot of it back, and then with the shockwave just obliterated Boros, and that's how Boros ended up dying. The lower half of his body was destroyed, his body was shriveled up after it, his hair goes white, and he's just basically a corpse that just has like a little trickle of life left in him, and he just has enough energy to say, he's like, you were a strong opponent. It was a hard-fought fight, wasn't it? And Saitama, you gotta give Saitama some credit here. He gave him, like, you know what? Saitama admits, like, yeah, that was probably the strongest guy I've ever fought. It still wasn't much of a fight, but it was the strongest guy I ever fought. But Saitama even gives some respect for his opponent. He doesn't just mock him and say, fight, that was barely a warm-up. He could have, because it basically was at that point. But Saitama gives him the respect he's due, and he's like, yeah, it sure was. But Boros catches on to Saitama. He's like, you're lying. You had strength to spare. It wasn't even a friggin' battle. You're too strong. And then he dies. I wonder what happened to Boros' body. I wonder if Metal Knight managed to capture it and he's like cloning an army of Boroses as we speak. That, you know what? Because I don't think it was ever referenced afterwards. Boros, he doesn't like disintegrate or like fade into ash or anything. He's just a husk and he dies. But Metal Knight was there. He recovered all of the freaking material from the ship. I mean, you get a little bit of Boros' alien DNA, you could clone you an army of Boros. That's a Star Wars sequel I would line up to watch, damn straight. Okay? That would be pretty cool, right? You have a bunch of different Boroses, they're all different colors and shit, You have a Cyclops one, 2 eyes, 3 eyes, 4 eyes. It's just an army of Boros, yeah. But that's probably not going to happen, but even so, Boros was probably the first major threat in the story that you actually were really hyped for. And probably the first opponent you thought that, is Saitama really going to be able to take this guy out as easily as he was with the other ones? Because, up until this point, the greatest threat was the Deep Sea King, who was a demon-level threat. And granted, the Deep Sea King was imposing, the way he took out Genos, he took out Puri Puri Prisoner, both S-classes, he took out all these A-class heroes and shit like that. But you get to Boros, and it really does set the stage for you. Like, this guy is different, okay? He's not just like a freaking fish stick out of the ocean that's like, I'm the king. No, we're talking alien overlord, dominator of the universe, has all this massive power in him, capable of wiping out the surface of a planet, insane regenerative capabilities. This guy, he might actually be able to stand with Saitama, and even so, I mean, Saitama wasn't able to finish him off as easily as the others. And I'm still gonna bring this up because somebody might bring it up inevitably, because Saitama did fight against him for a long period of time. Why didn't Saitama couldn't have finished him off right away? And to that I say, no, he could have. I think he definitely could have. I think if Saitama wanted to just cut with the pleasantries, and that first punch that Saitama did when he knocked Boros into a wall and it destroyed his armor, and he's like, okay, if that would have been a serious punch at that point, if Saitama would have just been like, serious move, serious punch, boom, I think that would have been it. I think that would have been it right there. Saitama, you understand, Saitama does not fight these strong monsters to just finish them off really quickly. I mean, that's probably his job as a hero, that's what he should do, but that's not what he does. He doesn't just unless it's like a super weak sauce monster, he don't care. But when it's like a really strong opponent, he wants to kind of have let's see how far we can get with this. You know, if it's like a little wolf or tiger level threat, it's like, whatever, who cares? But, you know, Boros announces himself as this great denominator of the universe, and like, and Saitama's probably sitting there like, man, yeah, you kind of got the skills to pay the bills. You know, you brought the freaking giant mothership and you blew up an entire city in one shot, and you're a Cyclops. You know, you might actually be able to you know, spar with me for a little bit. All right, let's see how this goes. And I think even subconsciously Saitama was like, let's try to milk this out as far as the alien udder can milk it. You know, like, let's try to see how this goes. So that's why he just, you know, does like this, like, oh, this is like a normal, just average punch that just wipes out, you know, demon, tiger, wolf level threats with no problem whatsoever. Just, and then Boros gets up after that, and he's like, okay, all right, let's see. And I think it's the scene when Boros begins to rush him after he gets his armor off and he goes into his second form, and he just begins to just rush Saitama, and Saitama is just blocking the attacks like, boom, 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 ow, ow, that kind of hurts. Saitama doesn't have as much hair as I do, so it doesn't, like, flow as much, but you know what I mean? Like, I think it's at that point that Saitama realizes, shit, it's the same like all the others. It's like a little bit more, like, I can kind of feel this, but I got excited for nothing. I got all hyped up for nothing. It's the same. It's just the same. Okay, and then, you know, they begin to do their little thing, and there was the point where Saitama's like, you know, are you done blabbering on? Can we just end this? And near the end, when he does, like, the ultimate move, Saitama's like, all right, let's just finish this, and that's what he does. You know, out of respect, he's like, okay, this is my final move! Collapsing star, roaring cannon, roar! You know, my laser! And then Saitama's like, all right, that's your finishing move, well, here's mine, and okay, there you go, and, you know, fight's over, whatever, okay. So that's the situation there. Now, you know, I would like to see maybe a reference to Boros again. I mean, we kind of already got one with, you know, the reveal of the last chapter, one of the last chapters with Dr. Genus, and he was talking about the nature of limiters and different monsters and stuff that were natural monsters like Boros was. And we got to see him there. He just had such a cool design. He had such a cool, like, just, you know, personality. We're never going to see Boros again alive unless the cloning theory happens, which I guess I'll hold out a little bit of hope for that. I mean, you got to, right? Are there ever going to be aliens again landing on the planet? I don't know. I think that might be kind of like a rehash kind of thing, you know? But, you know, I could see... okay, how about this? Okay. It's the end of the series. We're nearing the end of One Punch Man, and Saitama is facing his last opponent. It could be Blast, it could be God, it could be a character we've never even been introduced to at this point, but Saitama is going to face his final opponent. And, like, there's a really cool kind of, like, artistic choice that Murata and One do, where Saitama's, like, walking down a long hallway, and, like, ghostly images of all of his opponents that he fought, like, all of his major opponents, you know? So, like, you know, Vaccine Man's there at the beginning, like, that's his first opponent we see in the series, and then we see, like, the Deep Sea King, and then we see Boros, and then we see Garou, and all these really strong opponents, and he's walking past all of them, and then at the top here, it's his final opponent. Future Saitama. That's another possibility. I don't know. But I just really wanted to discuss Boros because he was such a cool villain. Comment below on what you thought about him, what your favorite thing about Boros was, what your favorite, you know, thing about this arc was and everything. You know, yeah. And it's all going to be positive. I can't think of one negative thing you could really say about Boros. Really. So, yeah, I mean, he's just great. Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody. I don't know what we're going to be doing next, because, you know, I kind of just, I was going to do it in order. I was going to do, like, A class, then B class, then C class, then monsters. But I thought, you know, I'm tired of doing things in order. Let's just talk about whenever I want to talk about. So next week could be a My Mask, could be Garou, could be Moomin Rider. Oh, that Moomin Rider video. I don't even know. I'm going to have to go buy a bicycle helmet. I'm going to have to buy a lot of gear for that. Okay, well, anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. All hail Lord Boros, signing out.